back in my hometown, and it's the first time I've been home in a little under a year, and it's the first time I've been to that church in well over a year. Don't get me, I've been going to churches, but up where I live, obviously not. I live 2.5 hours away from my hometown, so haven't really been here a whole lot. So yeah, I went to church this morning, and it was an incredible experience I don't know, it was just, God really spoke to my heart this morning, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it had nothing to do with the sermon at all. Well, actually, the sermon was really good and actually really convicted me too. But this being here, I started to think about, my time in college and how I've kind of been in and out of this church over the past 4.5 years because I lived 2.5 hours away. I lived at my university, and yeah, that's just what happens. You don't go home all the time when you're in college. You don't have time for that or money for that, let's be real. So I am back home, and I'm just sitting in church, and I just was really, really grateful for the person that God has made me through my college experience. Yeah. Throughout my college experience, I have struggled, I have wrestled so much with depression and anxiety. Holy shit. It seems like that is more defining of my college time than my studies, which is not the way it should be. But yeah, when I look back on college, I won't remember all of the things that I learned, but I will remember all of the experiences that I had, and a lot of mine, unfortunately, center around depression and anxiety. And, today, being back in my old church and being home, and, I don't know, something about today just made me so, I feel like I finally get it. I finally get what God has been doing, and it's not done. It's not over. Don't get me wrong. I still struggle with it. And I always will. It's just something that I will struggle with. But it all started in college. And what happened is that I had a really shitty childhood, that I'm proud of now. I love the families that I'm a part of, and it's fine, and I've always just felt okay with it. And I didn't know that there were a lot of things that my heart was shielded from growing up that I never had dealt with before. So I wrote a scholarship essay explaining my family history, which opened the floodgates emotionally and psychologically to all of that childhood trauma. I hate using that word because when I was experiencing it, it didn't feel like trauma because God was really, really guarding my heart. Holy crap. My entire childhood, I never felt unsafe or unsecure, which is very weird. I should have. But I was so sure that there was a God and that He was protecting me, and He was guarding my heart like no other. I was His, and He did that on purpose. And I'm so grateful for that. Don't get me wrong. I am so grateful that He protected my heart growing up. That would have been so much harder if I would have tried. I would have been trying to process that shit while it was happening, which is always harder than afterwards. So I wrote this essay my freshman year of college, and it opened the floodgates. I started to process that. I needed to process that. God saw my heart, and He knew that there was healing that needed to take place in the deepest parts of me that I didn't know was there. Because that's the funny thing about darkness, is that you can't really tell all the time. If you're safe in darkness, then you don't know the difference between that and light until someone turns on the light. And you're like, whoa, holy shit. It is bright in here. This is so different. But sometimes you get comfortable in that in that feeling of pain that you don't know you're experiencing. So through that essay, God unleashed that. Now here's the thing that I want to share is that I know, and if you're going through depression and anxiety, I want to tell you this right now, that God is not doing this to you. This is not pain caused by God. This is pain caused because we live in a broken, fallen world that hurts us because we have sin in it. Because we as humans screwed up and now there's sin in the world. That is not because of God. God is still good and he is still faithful. And he's not causing this pain. He wants to bring healing to you in the midst of this pain. And so I know, looking back, it is so clear to me in my story that God really did this because I needed healing in this. I needed this healing. Walking into church this morning, I felt like $1 million. Like, I love the quote, I'm so proud of the woman I am because I fought to be her. Or it's like, I'm so proud of the woman inside me because I fought for her. It's like, yeah, it's the same idea. I am so much better. I am so much stronger now because of my experiences. And it's amazing and it's incredible and I'm grateful for that. And God knew that I needed that, and he knew that I needed to feel like this at some point. I haven't felt like this in a long time. Like, I feel so amazing today, and I still struggle with depression, and it's amazing to be reminded that, I'm here and I've been hanging out with family, and that's great, and it's like, yeah, you love me, and I've been seeing friends, and it's like, wow, they love me too, and then I go to church, and it's like, wow, this immense pain that I've been dealing with for years is for me, and it's not against me, and that it is truly just an experience that God knew I needed to take to become a better me, an all around better Riley, someone who is stronger, who can withstand more, who can fight for justice in the education system, who can go to the hurt and say that it's going to be okay because there's a God who loves you. And yeah, everything that God called me, his will for my life did not line up with the foundation of sand that I was standing on. But it sucks because at the time, I didn't realize I was standing on sand because he had guarded my heart. But as soon as he broke the floodgates freshman year, I've had to find out what it means to have a foundation on Christ, on the rock, to build my life on the trust and faithfulness of God. And it's a process. I'm not done, and he's not done in me, and I'm still working through depression, like I said, and it's not always going to be better. It's a cycle, and it's all good, but God is faithful through it all. And I needed to feel that, and I just felt like someone out there needed to hear that today, that this depression or this anxiety, this mental illness that you're going through, no matter what it is, it doesn't define you. And your identity comes from Christ. He comes from God. So no matter what you're going through, know that God wants to bring you healing in it, but once you've gone through it, you'll be so incredible. And I don't know, that's just what God showed me today, and